I'm calling to order the Darien Parks and Recreation Commission, June 16th, 2021 regular meeting. And we are immediately going to adjourn to executive session. So Pam, if you'll stop the recording and lock the meeting, please.
This conference will now be recorded.
And I'm going to email that gentleman that you can come back in, which I just did, and I will unlock the meeting. Oh, there's 0 people now. I don't know what happened.
Oh, no, they're coming.
Oh, they're coming in.
Here they come. They are coming. Okay. Okay. All righty. So next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from May 19th. Does anybody have any proposed changes?
Yep.
Kathy?
As always.
That's good. I don't want it to be just me.
I know. In the section on discussing the removal of the 4 white pine trees, I thought we had said that we had heard that players may have been injured, but it wasn't confirmed they were injured on the courts.
I thought that Pam confirmed.
Yes, I've had confirmation that there have been people that have gotten hurt. They did not fill in any sort of accident report and they didn't call it in, but I have heard of residents, family members getting hurt.
Can we say minor injuries? I'm having a lawyer's response to it.
I don't know that I would say either or. There's been a few accidents.
Accidents. How about accidents, not injuries? We can change it to accidents and I'm okay. And then on the toddler's playground, the parents actually said that the child that was injured, and they inquired more. Have they made? I just was really concerned about that. Stated that the injured child's parents. That was an injury. Do we want to say that we corrected everything since the injury?
There was nothing to correct. She had a request that we did do for her, where she requested to have additional signs put around the playground, which were done pretty immediately.
Can we say that there was no damage, nothing to the equipment needed to be replaced? Another lawyer's reaction. Sorry.
Right, because none of the equipment was broken.
Yeah.
Or
if we can say something like that the signage corrected the issue as none of the equipment was broken.
But did we discuss that at the meeting? I mean, these are the meeting minutes.
No, we did actually, I think. So I think we actually did talk about whether there was something else that caused it. So that's what raised my.
We could look back on the video.
Yeah. That was all I had. They were both kind of response that if we're going to say someone was injured, we should say what the remediation was. And we did discuss the remediation and the issues at the trees. I don't exactly recall what we talked about on the playground, but I do remember she was injured, but I thought we had asked whether that anything else caused the injury. But maybe not.
You want to have Jamie go back and relook at the video and then bring these minutes back to make sure it's accurate?
Yeah, I'm just concerned about the injury to the child and the parents inquiring about fundraising for it. I don't know if you've heard from them otherwise. Was she badly hurt?
Yes.
Yes.
I would go back.
Okay.
All right.
That's okay.
Okay. I just had a couple of minor things on page 4 on the porta potties. It's the beginning of the sentence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down. It says preview. I believe the word is purview. Purview. And then the other thing is, we had started including the voting record chart at the end of the minutes, and I didn't see it.
Okay.
I
I-
had that too.
Yeah, I apologize. When I finished them, I wasn't in the office, so I couldn't physically do it, and then I forgot. So I apologize.
Okay, so do we want to hold on voting on these and then bring them back next month?
I did the voting. I attached them both. Like they're both posted on the website. I just had to attach them separately, so they are posted.
Okay. Okay. But just to correct specific, because the minutes, I understand Kathy's point, but the minutes should reflect what we discussed specifically. So we'll just, we'll do a double check on those pieces and then bring them back. Okay. Okay, so we will not take a vote. We don't have to vote not to vote, right? We just don't vote. Okay. The next item is public comment, and we had one individual who registered to speak. Jimmy Ma, is he on the line now?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, okay, the floor is yours.
Okay, and hello everyone. My name is Jimmy Ma, and I live in the 6th Beach Brigade on the Darien. It's very close across the street from the YMCA on the Post Road. So I live in the Darien almost like 30 years. So I see the change. And the reason I want to make a comment, and I do the garden in the Cherylong Park. I go once another day. Recently, I found there are a couple of big trees and near the nature center and very close to the mini tennis court. And on the tree, they have the colorful the ribbon and like a pink red. For my understanding, maybe a couple of trees, the big huge tree, are healthy, and that these are the eastern white pine tree, evergreen. So look like maybe somebody want to remove the tree. So I'm not 100% sure, but look like it is. And if somebody want to make decision on to cut those trees, I would disagree. And those trees are healthy. It's not a diet tree. So if the tree on the residential area, nothing we can do it. But in the park, in the public place, I would say do not cut any tree in the park. If for some reason, I would suggest we have to replace it. If we cut one, we have to replace another one. I love tree, and I published the book about 2 years ago. The title of my book in the library now, and my title of the tree, the name is the book is a tree and a shrub species in the area. So I spent a couple of years on the summary. We have like at least 200 species tree in this area. We are so lucky. So that's why I'm concerned if a park or somebody want to cut those trees, and I would suggest do not cut trees. That's the reason I call it.
Okay, thank you very much. So you mentioned there's ribbons on the trees?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's 3 or 4, and one is a pink, blue, or whatever. I guess, not 100% sure. Maybe the people want to cut it. That's why according
Mary
to this
Louise, can
meeting.
you shed any light?
Yeah, I think there's at least 1 or 2 that have red ribbons on it, and I assume those were the ones that you had zeroed in as potentially taking down.
Oh,
Is that correct, Pam?
That is correct.
Okay, so this,
I believe Sean and the vendor tagged them because they wanted the park crew and the commission to understand which trees
Yeah.
were part of the issue with creating that mossy-like slippery material that ends up getting on the court.
okay, so I just want to be sure we're talking about that Mr. Ma is referring to the same trees that we had had discussions about
Yes.
and not some other
Correct.
trees. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Okay, thank you very much. We appreciate your input. We delayed voting on this issue for a month or two. There was no real urgency, and we did want to take the opportunity to get public input. So thank you very much for taking the time to call in and for waiting for us to finish our executive session. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm done.
That was the only public comment we had registered for this evening. So we will go forward on to a report on the bicentennial bash, which by all accounts was a great success.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, I'll start and I'll let Jamie finish because that was her baby. And I just wanted to publicly say that I think she did a wonderful job. The bicentennial volunteers, which Jamie was a big part of, have been meeting for 3 years to wait for this to happen. And of course, the Friday, Jamie and I were in contact quite often because the weather just wasn't cooperating. And it was a difficult weather call because it wasn't black or white. It was iffy. And then last minute, we made the decision to move it to Saturday, which was a absolutely 100% no rain day. And, you know, both of us weren't sure how it was going to work out because we had to change it. But the change, like you've heard so many other things and events and restaurants and having to reinvent themselves, we had to reinvent this. And it was phenomenal. It really was phenomenal. And the white tablecloths and the dinner tables on the beach and those that chose to picnic, it was a really awesome thing to witness. And so, Jamie, I'd like you to finish off on that.
Yeah, so I'll try not to repeat anything Pam said, but one of the reasons that the change was so difficult was not only would we potentially impact a lot of the families who had registered for the event, but also we lost staff, we lost volunteers, and we lost staff media who had generously offered to be there and live stream the whole event, which was really cool since we had to do a smaller capacity than we wanted. So we thought like, oh, well, anyone who didn't get a chance to buy a ticket can still tune in and join in on the fun. So we had like a whole set of speeches ready and like games to like be entertaining on TV. And so that was just a really hard hit to take with the decision. But well, we did make the change. The weather was absolutely gorgeous. Like to Pam was saying with the setup, I was really nervous about what the tables were going to look like on the sand, and it was like incredibly beautiful. I think Pam and I were both just kind of like staring at it for a minute. It was really neat to see it come together. So I think that's a really fun option for us to do events like this in the future, like the dinner and the music on the beach. It just came together so well. And the band rocked. They were awesome. We've had them before. So the band definitely, we heard so much good feedback on the band. And then one of the really cool positives that came out of it was TV 79 had initially offered to attend. And then when DAF Media agreed to live stream, they kind of backed out because it didn't seem necessary. So they agreed to be back up with the rain date. So they did attend and they did a whole highlight reel. So I don't know if you've seen that, but we should share it to the commission. It's really cool. It's like 18 minutes long. They show a really good feel for the event. So we're very grateful to TV 79 for doing that, especially with like 12 hours notice. So that was great. And we changed the whole kind of lineup after that. We kept a couple of the speeches we thought were necessary, but we didn't even have Jamie Stevenson do her speech. So instead she introduced this tiny little girl who wanted to sing. And so she sang a song. Apparently she won a contest in Darien and it was the cutest thing ever. She was a 3rd grader and she sang an original. It was awesome. So it was just like a couple of really neat things came out of having to make that decision that I was really, really not wanting to make. And logistically, I thought everything went really well, as Pam referenced. We had to do things a lot differently than we would have, than we've been planning for the last 2.5 years. And it's kind of one of those things that we've learned during COVID. We've had to change a bunch of our events, and I think a lot of the logistics are going to stick. It worked really well. We didn't have traffic issues like with parking. We didn't have any like check-in backup or anything. Oh, and a very generous thank you to Patty Baumgartner. She stepped in as a last-minute volunteer off of her boat because I was panicked trying to find people, check people in. So
all you two, you guys did an amazing job. Jamie and Pam, just a shout out, and to the committee. It was perfect, up and down. Well done.
Thank you very much. And, you know, our bicentennial sponsors were awesome. They still showed up, and Moffley Media sent a photographer because with the postponement, we lost our photographer. So we just had a lot of people who really stepped in for the bicentennial, and it was, you know, it was supposed to be an event where the community came together, and then they kind of had to in a totally different way. And then it was just really, it was awesome. At one point, there was a conga line at the end.
Yeah, so if you look at my picture I put in my report, that says it all.
So yes, overall, I'm thrilled, and I'm very relieved that it happened. So.
Yep. Pam, didn't you say that it sold out like within a half an hour of going online?
Like 2 hours, and then there were 200 people on the waiting list.
Yes, it was, it went very, very quickly. We've been seeing pretty consistently, so I hope that continues. But that's one of the many things that we've seen that we're excited about with COVID is, you know, we generally don't do pre-registration, and it's just been a huge asset for us for a million different reasons. So, you know, I think that could be something that we continue, even if we offer walk-in as an option. Pre-registration, it's a communication line. It gives us an idea of what to expect on the day of. It's just, there's so many advantages. It enables us to get, like, Ingress is like, you know, checking people in is so much more efficient than otherwise where people are trying to pay or anything like that as they're pulling in. So we've seen a lot of positives of that particularly.
Well, that's great. I mean, weather-wise, you made the right call because I was, you know, looking at it Friday night and right in the middle of when it was pouring buckets down here. So, you know, that was absolutely the right, difficult, but the right call.
And I thought it was really
it was incredibly sunny. I was very nervous, but then I was very excited as I started getting texts like, it's downpouring. I'm like,
Right. Yes, I know.
Another really nice takeaway too was that I had a lot of conversations with many different people that were, you know, participating, and many that hadn't been to Weed Beach in years. Like one lady said she hadn't been here in 10 years, and she was so happy that she came, and she can't wait to come back to another one. And you know, just the people letting loose and dancing, and it was pretty darn special. So we look forward to the next one.
And yeah, I didn't mention, but with the postponement, we lost 4 families, which I thought was pretty awesome. In the grand scheme of things, only 4 families were no longer able to attend. So that was one of my biggest concerns, and we really didn't see that as an issue. I don't know if it's just because people don't have anywhere else to go, but
were you able to backfill with waiting list people?
Yes and no. 2 people told me after the fact, so I just refunded them. They were just picnickers. And then 2 people said they could no longer come, but they would like to donate their meals. So we gave them to like working staff and working volunteers.
Great. Any questions on the event? I think it was just a big, you know, a big success, and really helps provide a roadmap and learnings for additional townwide events. And it shows that the demand is there, and really the interest for people to come down and use the facilities and have programs available. So now there are more events over the summer, correct? This
Yes.
is one in the series.
Yes, it is. The next one is a little up in the air right this second. It's currently scheduled for July 2nd, so that could potentially be our next one. And then we definitely have another one on August 27th. And the only reason that the July 2nd one is up in the air is we might host a different event. So it's just a matter of figuring out what direction we're going to go. But we're going to have an event. It's just a matter of what we decide to do.
Okay. And there's no chance fireworks will come back.
That's the other event as of noon today. That's back on the table. So I will let you guys know when we're frantically seeing if it's possible. We don't know quite yet.
Okay.
Discussions were just today, so now we're kind of running in a circle, but we're all positively, optimistically trying to do it. So we'll see.
As of now, the only community I'm aware of that has 4th of July fireworks scheduled is Fairfield.
Mhm.
It's pretty slim pickings this year.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's one
which
of the
would be-
reasons if we could pull it off, I think it would be pretty spectacular. But we've had at like 4 o'clock. I thought we were running forward, but we've hit a couple of hiccups now. So I'm just not sure yet if we're going to be able to do it.
That is just congratulations. That's really, it's been a long road, and I think it was the perfect event for the community at the perfect time. And had we known what we know now, probably could have opened it up to a lot more people, but all the publicity and the feedback I've heard has all been fantastic.
It was good. It was good to see it, the layout with the number capped, because we had never done it before. So with all those people registered, which is the 500, and some being at tables and some being just at their own layout, it's clear that we could have more people. So it was really a good way to start to see that.
Did you have any issues clearing the beach out for setup?
We
No.
really didn't, surprisingly enough. The couple people that at first kind of seemed a little kind of like, what do you mean? Because we told them that they could hang out until 5, but then we were really starting to set up. Like, we were putting the tables out on the beach and stuff, and so we were kind of gently reminding them that we needed them to be gone by 5. And the people that seemed a little kind of like, well, you said I could stay, once I explained what exactly was going on, they were like, oh wow, we totally get it, we'll go ahead and pack up. So I think once they understood, everyone was really nice.
Okay, yeah, that was my probably biggest concern about switching from Friday to Saturday, is that, you might have a lot of people who are on the beach for the afternoon, although I think the tide was down, which people tend to leave when the tide's way down. So I'm glad to hear that wasn't too much of an issue.
And we are lucky. We have another beach. So
Right.
we are, we're very fortunate for that.
No, good. Okay. Okay, well, I think we can really just move into the director's report. You all notice we kept the agenda fairly light this month. One of the reasons is because, Pam and Jamie, between the event, getting the snack bars up and running, which we'll talk about, and really getting the parks into full swing, it's just been flat out. So I think Pam and Jamie needed a little bit of a break on the agenda this evening. So we thought we'd keep it on the lighter side.
Yeah, so it's been, quite busy, and we've added some new challenges, which is the concession stands. And of course, we have had some hiccups there, not only with equipment, but with weather. So, completely Memorial Day weekend was just a washout, and it's been cool. We haven't had really major great weather yet, and X amount of days in a row. So Nikki has been trying her best. I've been certainly working with her the best I can to put out the fires that come up. For instance, she texted me on this past Sunday, and all of a sudden none of the equipment was working. And so me at a wedding shower trying to figure out how, what to do, who to call, ended up being that the propane tank was out of propane. And it should never have been out of propane because we barely used it since it was dropped there. So there has been issues behind the scene there. Then there was another call where the freezer didn't work. And if you remember, the freezer was donated. So, and from, he didn't know the year of it. We found out from the technician, it's 1994. They continually are trying to Band-Aid it and fix it. So I went out and I bought a chest freezer and had the chest freezer delivered the very next morning. So it took care of that problem. But we probably will, after this season, check with, Nikki and how she fared with that chest freezer. And we should probably budget for a commercial freezer next budget. So just things like that. But I think we're getting through it. We're learning to work together, and I'm still, hey, it's only mid-June. So hopefully the weather is consistent this summer and she makes some money. She did say Pear Tree has been incredibly slow. So slow that one day she only made $5. So I had said to her, I think at this point, because the weather's been cool, you're welcome to shut down, just open on June 17th consistently. That's when the schools are out. And at that point, she should be getting more business. So, you know,
Jamie, what can we do to help her in terms of using our different social media platforms to generate interest, to get people over there and using, using both of them?
Yeah, she actually does a great job on social media. So I'm sure we can just start. We attempted to work together once and our phones they're not friends. So we couldn't share stuff. So we probably just need to figure that out logistically. And I'm sure if she just snapped me photos and stuff and we started posting those, I'm sure that alone would probably generate just a friendly reminder.
Yeah,
I also think if they do specialty nights at Pear Tree, you know, specials, Taco Tuesday or what have you, and start rather than Weed Beach or Weed Beach on a different night, so that they're special. And Tiara, you and I talked about that, really feeling that that's something that right now Weed Beach is doing well. So if she focuses a little bit more on doing something different over at Pear Tree, I think that could bring people from Weed Beach over to Pear Tree.
yeah, I think if she posted it on the Moms of Darien too, I think she might get some traction. Just because I think then she'd get that whole group sort of thinking about going there. I went to Pear Tree. I must admit my sandwich was great. So thank you so much. I had fresh vegetables. It was wonderful. The kids behind the counter, one of them plays soccer with my son. So it was a really nice experience, but he said I was only one of the 10 people he had seen that day. So they do need some people getting there. So.
Yep. So, I mean, yeah, first of all, I would just, I think I emailed everybody, encourage all of you, if you haven't been to one or both yet, please. I know Tiara has spent plenty of time down there already, and I've tried to get down, I'm lucky because it's right down the street. So, a couple days when there was not much in the fridge for lunch, my husband and I scooted down quickly because it wasn't too busy on a weekday. The service was very fast, sat, ate for 15 minutes and I was able to get home. So, and the food is very good.
Yeah, I had a salad. It was awesome.
My husband swears by the chicken salad. The salads are pre-made. They're really fresh and good. So, it's important, I think, for all the members of the commission to get down there and give it a try and have the experience. So I'm going to try to hit Pear Tree next. And then just, talk it up with your friends and let's try to help people so that she can have a successful year. But I think with school being out now, people will just generally be down there. Tiara, you said the beach was very crowded this afternoon.
It's packed and there's been people at the Weed Beach concession stand every time I go in. So it's great. I also have to say that the staff is so friendly. And I know that there's been staffing issues for, every restaurant and catering business. So she's doing a great job. The staff is so friendly. So it makes it such a nice place to be in.
Good.
And Tiara, did you notice that we moved the tables up in front of the concession with the umbrellas?
Yes, I love that. And it has such a great feel. And we should talk, Pam, because it'd be so great to get like some bistro seating kind of right underneath those windows.
Mm-hmm. Good idea.
Right along underneath that covered area, just along there.
That's a good idea. And we did move 2 of the same tables with umbrellas to Pear Tree. So if you haven't noticed that, that's also out there as well. And so speaking of which, I guess we can jump right in there. We did have the inside of the bathrooms and the concession and lifeguard and first aid room painted. Jim's intention is to do the railings himself, but they've been flat out trying to take vacation days. Like today we only had 2 guys on. Jim was on vacation. I mean, it's been really, really skeleton crew. And on top of that, it's been the end of the year budget, which we're very sensitive about how much money we're spending. So we have enough money to make transfers where necessary as bills come in. So I think a lot of that work you're going to see is going to come in I mean, they may be able to do the painting before July 1st. That's not going to cost a lot of money. That's just about manpower. But the additional,
So the issue is that people have vacation time. If they don't use by June 30th, they lose.
yes, and all sorts of issues. I mean, we have 3 men that have new babies. So there's, issues at home. They have to run. I mean, it's been a little crazy, and they have so much work. This is their busiest season right now in terms of, getting the ball fields ready, cutting Highland, which is an enormous property. The beaches. It's been a lot. So Jim felt that he could touch up the sinks. I know Cheryl took a picture of the rust, but touch up the sinks first before we go ahead and tear them out of the wall and have plumbing issues. So if we have plumbing issues, then that would be worse off at this point. So let's see if we can touch it up and make it look nicer. And if it doesn't, then we can consider then changing them out.
Okay, so sinks can be painted?
Yes, the enamel. So let's give it a try, see what it looks like. And if it's not acceptable, then we can look at the other solution.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I did not send the pictures of the sink. It was Andy Millar.
Okay, thank you. So I think with the, and then someone mentioned the plants. Yes, that was another thing. I had Jim, he was going to talk to one of the gardening businesses, but again, spending right now, I've told the guys to stop spending, even in our department for recreation, stop spending because bills are coming in and I have to have enough money to transfer. So, some things may just have to wait until July 1st, right around the corner.
Yeah, it's really not, it's not that far, but the beach is really just in the next few weeks. I mean, I think the next few weeks it actually could be busy at the beaches because school's out, but people haven't necessarily gone away for their summer trips or whatever, and they're trying to keep their families busy, or maybe camps haven't started. But.
I will push to see if they can get the painting done out front.
Okay.
Just on the railings and the posts. That will at least be helpful because you got the new tables with the umbrellas that kind of hides a little bit or adds something to the feeling. And then you see that the playground is finished, which people are really happy about the new toddler. There's an 18 to 3-year-old, 18-month to 2-year-old playscape, and then a 2-year-old to 5-year-old playscape that was input. And I put pictures in my report. The pickleball court is finished, although we do have a few things we need to tidy up along the fencing, which when the fencing was put back up, there's still some gaps below the bottom where the balls can roll out. So Sandy and I looked at it today and we think that we could put 2x6s, paint those black, put them on the inside of the court, and that will solve that problem. That way no ankle can go through there, the balls can't go through there. It's not really a place where they are running, but it still would be, and lumber is so expensive right now, so I'm having him get me an estimate on that. And if that's not, feasible, which I think it is, there is also other floor bordering that we can look at too. That will probably be less expensive until perhaps we wanted to budget for it. So we're going to come up with a solution. Other than that, the courts are busy, people are happy, tons of pickleball lessons, and so it's a beautiful addition. And I did meet with the tree warden about the trees, the white pines, and did meet with the pickleball instructor today about the white pines again, just to clarify. I mean, this guy goes in every day that he's there and he blows off the court because of all the needles and the sap that falls. And we did witness the shady area again. And I just specifically asked him, what exactly makes it slippery? And it really is a mixture of the pine sap, lack of sun, and it creates almost this mossy type of substance, and that's what can make it slippery. I mean, he does his very best by trying to blow it off all the time. But as the gentleman said, those trees are healthy. They're not that they're healthy. They're not dying. That's not the reason. But the tree warden did say if we trim them, it will compromise them. So if it's a safety hazard, that, we absolutely should consider taking them down, but we will replant, as the gentleman said too, right? If a tree comes down, we should replant it. And we would.
Pam, I have a suggestion. There are 4 trees that we're talking about. One of the trees is very close to the road and really has nothing to do with the corner that we're talking about.
True.
I think that one should be just left alone. There's one that is very close to the court, the closest one. And I think we should probably take that one down. And the 2 that are behind it, perhaps raise some of the branches and see how that works for this season. If it still creates a problem, then take them down a little bit later. But as I said to you, I had a chance to talk to about 20 of the veteran pickleball players who were there like year round. And they said that one corner is a real problem. And having fallen on that court, I would not wish that on anybody else. So, I mean, that's a real issue. You want it to be safe and not slippery. But anyway, that's my recommendation.
Right. So if you're hearing from those people that are saying that it's a real problem, that's something that we have to listen to. If it's a real problem, then I hear what you're saying, take down the one, but we have to make sure that if we take them down, it's providing the sunlight to dry up the court. So
yeah.
Okay, well, we will, I think we'll put that on the agenda next month to vote, but we can certainly, keep chatting about it.
It's
Can I ask
not
Mary
really,
Louise? Can I ask Mary Louise a question?
Yes,
So,
yeah.
why do you want to just take down the one? Do you see that the one is the one that's causing the problem in the shading?
it seems to be the one that encroaches the most on the court. And I talked to Sean Shea about this also. He felt that was the one that was creating the biggest problem. And so on an interim basis, I think that might be a good way to go. And as we move into the fall, if in fact it doesn't solve the problem, then we've established that in a sense they have to go, in which case we then replace 3 new, perhaps native evergreen trees. That and maybe even a specimen tree, an umbrella pine, Douglas fir, something like that.
Can I just say, as a veteran player, I guess I wouldn't call myself a veteran player, but as somebody who's playing there a lot and have been playing, and again, you guys got me into it, encouraging me to play. Jamie Gore, thank you. I did play there when they were temporary courts. I played them when they were, the new courts. I have not been on them once we realized we needed real fencing, so I've stayed off until the fencing is set. But I know exactly where you're talking about, and I concur with Mary Louise. So I've been there when it's been sappy, and it is a concern. But I feel like that's probably the right choice to do, is to take that front tree down and then see how it goes. Because it's really in the fall is when the sap falls.
Right.
And
Yeah.
as a result, sorry, everybody's walking in. I think that's probably a really good way to go. And I mean, it's not that hard for our pickleball instructor to sweep off the cart. I mean, he's making money off of this, and the town is making money off of it. The other thing I would say is there's 4 courts now instead of just 2. So they're not always busy. A lot of times they are busy, but they're not always busy. So let's watch and see how it goes in the fall. And if we start to see there's an issue, people can just play on the front 2 courts, or even it's the front 2. I say the front, it's the 2 ones on the left.
Yeah.
And it's the one on the front right that are okay. It's really more of that back left one. But anyways, thank you, Mary Louise. I concur with you as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that input. And the ones that have the red tape on them?
There are actually, I think the 4 that we're talking about, I think actually all 4 of them have some kind of a ribbon on them or
They
something.
do, they
So,
do. Because the one closest to the driveway is one that we felt would provide a lot more sunshine on the courts. So,
but it's not bothering anybody. I mean, it's,
no, not with the needles. It's just
Yeah.
bringing more sun to the court to alleviate the wetness. And so,
I would also be concerned taking down 4 trees that we suddenly then have wetness and some flooding issues. So that's why I would just concur, maybe we start with the biggest issue, which is that 1 tree, and go from there. And trust me, I'm out there. If I see an issue, Pam, I will be calling you right away and let you know. Thank you.
right, we just don't want that issue to be an injury. That's what's, once somebody mentions, like today, Steve mentioned a sinkhole. You know, in my job, you don't walk away from a sinkhole not taking care of it that day. So I went back and I had the guys come in and fill it in. And, you know, I mean, Steve's witnessed people just kind of talking, and all of a sudden they fall into this because it's uneven, it was grassy, but I never knew anything about it until today.
Where was the sinkhole? Are you talking about on the sinkhole on the pickleball court?
No, right next to the garbage can on the hill, right next to
Oh, in
the.
a whole separate area. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. So when people are bringing something to your attention, you hope you're making the best solution so that nothing happens whatsoever. So,
Okay, well, we will definitely vote on it at our July meeting. You know, because people, we've, you know, had the opportunity to get input. We did have one letter, which I think went to all of the commission members from a woman who lives on Brookside. And I think that's the only letter we've received in the last month. Plus we had Mr. Moss speak to us this evening.
yes.
Okay, anything else, Pam? The basketball court, is that done? I have not been over there.
The basketball court is being color coded on this Saturday pending weather. I see no issues with weather, so I had signs made today to forewarn players that the court will be closed on Saturday. And they'll be, when they're dry, all set to go on Sunday.
Okay.
So,
And then we can talk about a ribbon cutting thereafter. Just want to make sure those pieces got done.
yes, so Steve talked to me today about a ribbon. Thankfully he saw me today because he's been planning a ribbon cutting on his own. So
Oh,
I was
okay.
glad to know about it.
Okay, yeah. Have him loop us in on that one. Very good.
So the rest of my report speaks for itself.
Okay, great, thanks. So there's just been a tremendous amount going on, a lot of moving parts. Okay, so my report, and then we'll wrap up. So this is not turning out to be a short meeting, but it is what it is. Just Pam didn't mention this really either, is that our park monitor is back up and running, and we've started, we get a little daily, or not most dailies, he'll send a little report summarizing activity, the different parks that he's covering. So he is getting out to most of the major parks, you know, walking them, keeping eye out for, you know, dog violation, reporting on levels of activity, et cetera. So that's really great that we have him back and up and running and very visible in the community. So I'm really pleased that we were able to get the budget dollars for that and that it's up and going. And I look forward to it, you know, getting his little reports, and that sometimes they're kind of humorous to boot. So it's cute take on things sometimes. Just a reminder, yes.
I was just gonna add, because I should have given him some credit. I think part of the reason we didn't get a lot of pushback from people when we closed the beach was he did a great job getting the word out.
Okay.
Was there on site throughout the day, as well as the day before when we postponed, and I had multiple commission members just going by to committee members going to drop stuff off, and they're like, he literally found every single one of us and was like, just to let you know, like, we're going to be closing earlier. And like, they were like, yep, we're on the committee. Like, thank you for your, so I had multiple people report to me that like he came up to them and informed them about it. And so I think he did a really good job getting the word out.
Good. Yeah. Well, I think he's I think it's a real asset. And I'm just very supportive of the commission and the department really having our own sort of boots on the ground that represent us, and not that, you know, that reliance on the police force. So I think it's just so good. And I believe it's something we should really continue to have really a regular part of our program. Reminded everybody to try out the beach Grill, we were chatting a little bit as we were assembling about our piping plover, which as far as we know, successfully had her little babies and took off. So to the best of our knowledge, right, we don't have any proof.
Yep.
That is good. I just did want to mention, some of you may have seen in the press, there was some coverage regarding the pride flag at Pear Tree. I don't know if all of you saw that or not, but you know, we had agreed and discussed having the flag raised in concert with the US flag, which would be done up until this weekend on weekends only, because that's a responsibility usually that the lifeguards are the ones who put the flags up and down. And early in the month, Jim Coughlin went over and raised just the pride flag on the first day or two. And we did get some email inquiry about why the US flag was not being raised. So, you know, Jim and Pam and I were in contact about, you know, wanting to make sure that both were raised together, which is proper protocol. Jim went back to collect the pride flag at the end of the day, as I understand it, Pam.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it went missing. And a police report was filed, and they're handling that appropriately. And we were able to get another pride flag, and now they are both being raised together. And then starting this weekend, we can handle it daily because the lifeguards start full-time this weekend, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So that's, I don't know if the police have concluded anything more. I've not seen anything more about it, but I just want to make sure anybody who hadn't seen that in the papers were aware of that. Okay. And also, the porta potty, we had quite a discussion about that. We ended up removing that a bit early. Jamie Stevenson, myself, Pam, continued to get inquiries and complaints, pictures of workmen, you know, just, you know, people going by to whatever construction jobs they were using it, et cetera. And Jamie kind of just called that one, Jamie Stevenson, and said, let's just move it out. So it was removed early, and then for go forward years, we can look at doing, you know, being more planful about that and screening it. The funding for the plantings at Highland, which are the last piece of that project, did finally come through, I understand, in the last week or so, which will allow the town to go ahead and do the plantings and the screenings in the fall, and then hopefully some thought can be, you know, given to how porta potty or potties would be handled for special events and in an appropriate location and with appropriate screening. So, but in the meanwhile, that was removed a little bit early.
So are there any summer programs at Highland Park where kids and parents would need to use the porta potty? I don't know what the summer programs, they have soccer there right now. I don't know if it goes.
Yeah, we have a few things lined up, but again, it's an hour, you know, it'd be an hour program, and, you know, once a week. But the reason we had it placed out there is because Park and Rec had it 9 to 1. So some of the same coaches are out there for 4 hours, as well as siblings, you know, that were taking different classes. And then we had soccer after that. So we felt that there was a need for at least to have something there for someone. But, you know, we moving forward would be more conscious about it. And also, as Lori said, there's the planting project that is starting. And I do understand that they're looking to try to get that in place, hopefully in September. We have our event, Rocktoberfest, in October 3rd, which I will mention, we had a meeting today. We're in collaboration with the Darien Arts Center again, and also Land Trust has come in to collaborate with us too for that event.
You know, since Highland is not a park, we are not really involved in the plantings and such, but will you be involved in that, working with Dan Biggs in the final plan? Do you have involvement in that?
I'm copied in on everything, yes.
Okay, so you'll be able to loop him in to the extent that any screening for portable toilets perhaps was not in the original thinking, make sure that that gets onto his radar and then you have
Yes.
to look at the location and such. Okay, all right, that's important. Okay, so finish up. Okay, we talked about the ribbon cutting. Meetings. So I did some inquiry about what our meetings, virtual versus in person, would look like going forward as things are really opening up. And I was able to get some information back from Kate and Jamie Stevenson. And my understanding is that the programs that were put in place under COVID that allow for virtual town meetings, as you call historically, we needed to be in person. There wasn't, a call in or a virtual or whatever. And these protocols were in place specifically due to COVID. And the allowance for that, as I understand it, ends on July 20th. Our next meeting is actually July 21st. There is legislation pending, which might allow for permanent, so not some permanency or some, ongoing ability for virtual meetings to be held, but there's not a lot of detail around that. I did ask Wayne Fox about it. We were chatting last week and he said we would really have to see what that legislation ends up looking like and whether, how that kind of works and whether it's, all or none. And, you have to allow for maybe people that are in the room and not in the room. So there is a lot to be fleshed out. But as I understand it, we will need to be reverting to in-person meetings. So I think we probably need to expect or plan that our next meeting, which is July 21st, will be in person. So, because if that legislation, if the one expires on July 20th and we don't really know what might or might not be in place. So, I think, individuals, people have to understand what their comfort level is. Town hall protocols are that if you are vaccinated, you just come in, you don't need to wear a mask. Individuals who are not vaccinated are requested to wear a mask and socially distance. The public, I believe, again, it's a little bit on the honor system, but, that does create some challenges because people don't necessarily know. So, people are going to have their own comfort levels. If there are any of you who are not comfortable with being in person, I would say just, reach out to me privately. And, we would really need to work with the town to understand how that might work. So it's kind of as much as I know right now about that. So any questions or concerns people want to raise or just? Nope. Okay. So, Pam, do we have a room reserved for July?
Yes.
We do. Is it
I
town
believe
hall
it's-
or the paddle hut?
No, I believe it's town hall, but that's a good question because we used to do paddle hut in the summers. I can't recall whether Jeannie and I'll have to email everybody.
Okay. All right. Can we switch it to the paddle hut or does that make it like a special meeting or is that? Oh,
No, we can switch it. I
Okay.
think we can switch it.
Okay. I mean,
Yes.
personally, I'd rather be at the beach. So,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, that's great. So I did want to mention that to everybody. And then just to quickly recap, just the types of sort of letters, that we received during the month or the past, few months and just general reminders to the public. Pam had an issue when we were getting ready to do the construction of the toddler playground. She taped the area off, for no entry and access. And of course, people cut the tapes and went in anyway. So we've had some issue with that. We've had some notification about, people idling, so they're sitting in their cars with, the engines on, which is against state law. So that's something we have to be watching out for and ask that our security guard remind people that violates the law. I mentioned the removal of the flag. We've had some letters about traffic, especially at Cherry Lawn in terms of if people are lining up to pick up children. that, you know, somebody gets impatient and tries to, you know, cut around and whatever, which is creating dangerous situations. So the public needs to be reminded of that. We've had some violation of the permitted activities at Highland Farms, which have to do with the horses. I think Pam, you said somebody was shooting off rockets one day.
Yeah, and I was there today and a drone went over me.
Yeah, like
And,
some drones,
But
rockets.
we do have 8 signs posted.
Right.
They have not let, they're on the fence. They used to be lawn signs from our Oktoberfest last year. We left them up. I think Jim Flynn and the crew must have put them on the fence so that they didn't have to cut around them.
Okay. So that's an issue. You know, and then, you know, just generally, I think people's, you know, speeding, certainly I see it on Nearwater, on Pear Tree Point and whatever. So, you know, we've got our, you know, we do hear from the public about their concerns about these issues. You know, having the park monitor will help. You know, I think there's a balance. You know, we do get a request to put more signage up about some of these things. But we have to really, you know, in my view, balance, you know, all of these don't do this and don't do that signs and too much signage, which takes away from the natural beauty of the parks. But, you know, Jamie, I think we have to think about continuing ways to have public awareness and reminders that, you know, they need to be sensitive to making our parks experiences, you know, both safe and happy and healthy and restful for everybody, and, you know, adjust their behaviors accordingly. Oh, and also trash, of course, becomes an issue this type of year too, and people have to clean up after themselves. So, you know, these are the things that, you know, we hear about from letters from the community, and I just wanted to share those. Okay. So that is all we have for this evening, unless anybody has new business, which would require a vote to move into new business. So does anybody had anything else that they needed to raise? No? Okay, then I think we can take a motion to adjourn. Kathy and Susan second.
Sorry, going. Lori,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Pierre.
Yeah.
Mary Louise.
Yes.
That's everybody.
Okay, everybody. It was good to see everybody, you little people. And we will see you all in July.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.